All right, how's everybody doing? Hotep. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. It is Friday, October 11th, 2019. I'm here in Oakland, California, here for the Black Agenda Tour, taking place Friday, October 11th, Saturday, October 12th, 2019. And first of all, I wanted to test this equipment. So I'm doing it off my phone because I'm here at the Airbnb. The internet speed is not as fast as I need it to be. So can you all hear me okay? How's everybody doing? So I'm here with Michi X, and we'll be at the community forum, the community training this evening, 6 p.m. And then we'll be at the conference on Saturday. But I wanted to talk about this topic here, and I'm trying to monitor this here on the laptop. How's everybody doing? Okay, Frida, can you hear me? All right, everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. Okay, and I'm dealing with this slow internet here. Okay, but I wanted to talk about this topic. I saw an article. Article came out October 10th from Black Enterprise Magazine, and you saw me post the article here on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. This article talks about how 4.5 million African Americans could lose their jobs to automation over the course of the next 10 years. Okay. And this is going to especially negatively impact African American men. And when we talk about automation, we're talking about robotics, we're talking about software programs, different things like this. Okay. So it then also there was an article from businessinsider.com. I'm actually from fastcompany.com. African American men will suffer the most as automation destroys jobs once held by humans. African American men will suffer the most as automation destroys jobs once held by humans. So, in this presidential cycle, this presidential campaign cycle, and then also you'll have all the 435 seats in the House of Representatives will be up for reelection in 2020, and then also you'll have a number of U.S. senator seats that are up for reelection. This this issue right here is not really being talked about a lot. So when we put together an African American agenda, when we deal with policies that are going to positively impact the African American community, policies that we should be pushing to all of the prospective candidates, whether it's president, House of Representatives, U.S. Senate, this is something that has to be addressed. Now, when I left Detroit early Thursday morning to fly to Oakland, California. And I get to the airport in Oakland, California. There's a CVS vending machine, a CVS kiosk there. I've never seen it before. So everybody's familiar with CVS pharmacies, right? So they had a vending machine there with a lot of the products that are sold at CVS pharmacy, but they're in the vending machine. You can use your debit card, credit card to purchase them. No human interaction there at all. When you go to CVS pharmacies, a lot of them have some lanes that have automated kiosks, and you could go there and you don't have to deal with a actual CVS customer service representative. When you go to Walmart, you'll see at Walmart now, a lot of the Walmarts, they have lanes, and Sam's Club, because they're both owned by the same company. Sam's Club and Walmart, they'll have lanes that are just automated and you don't have to deal with anybody. So we see more and more of this coming, right? But not a lot of studies have talked about how will this negatively impact African Americans. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. So everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. I'm going to post the information here as well for the Black Agenda Tour. We're here in Oakland, California. I think Michi said there are a few tickets left available for Saturday. I think they have some spots for the community training on Friday. You can visit also the blackagendamovement.com, the blackagendamovement.com, okay? Because I was just talking to Michi, and I think there's some more available seats for Saturday. But we'll give you that information. I'll post all the information here in the thread of the broadcast. Also, if you want to donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show, or at our website, africanhistorynetwork.com, africanhistorynetwork.com. All right? So let's look at this article, and then just give me a minute here because the computer's running slowly. So when I saw the kiosks from CVS, it blew me away. I'd never seen that before. I've seen them for Best Buy at airports. I've seen them for cell phone products and products from like accessories for your iPhone, things like this. This is the first time I've seen it coming from CVS. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So let's look at this article from blackenterprise.com. Okay, 4.5 million African Americans could lose their jobs to automation. Can you all hear me okay? Job losses for African Americans could reach 4.5 million individuals in the next 10 years, according to a report from the consulting company McKinsey and Company. McKinsey and Company. The report is called "The Future of Work in Black America." The future of work in Black America. This report details the challenges American workers will have in the coming decade due to automation in the workforce. African Americans will face 10% more job losses than the general population. So the way that automation is going to disproportionately negatively impact African Americans is not largely talked about. Now, if we look at what Donald Trump is doing, Donald Trump is demonizing undocumented immigrants and blaming undocumented immigrants and saying they're your problem, they're taking your jobs. Donald Trump is not talking about how automation has eliminated millions of middle class jobs, while at the same time he exploits the labor of undocumented immigrants at his hotels and golf courses. If we go back and we look when he was running for president and he got involved with the carrier plant in Indiana, and he made a promise that he was not going to allow plants to close and things like this in Indiana, right? So he gets involved, and Governor Mike Pence, who became his VP, Governor Mike Pence of Indiana, Governor of Indiana, took taxpayer dollars to provide aid to the carrier plant to give them tax breaks to keep the plant there and keep them from eliminating jobs. But then, if you follow the story, what happened was the carrier plant made upgrades, the carrier company made upgrades to the plant where they were going to lay off people. They put in automation, and this automation is going to eliminate jobs. So when you listen to Donald Trump demonize undocumented immigrants while he also exploits their labor, he doesn't talk about how automation is eliminating and has eliminated millions of middle class jobs and is going to continue to do that, but is also going to eliminate millions of low income jobs also. So Trump uses the undocumented immigrants to galvanize support from a lot of basically poor white people who vote for him, and but they don't understand how he is not really helping them at all. Okay, this is the game that's being ran. So let's look at this. There is an elevated risk to the African American workforce to modernization, automation, and the global shift that exists in the modern economy, said this comes from the McKinsey report. McKinsey partner and report co-author insight. Although automation consists of artificial intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, software, and robots that will handle the current low wage, low skilled jobs in the near future. Low wage, low skilled jobs in the near future. Okay. Now, businesses have been rolling out increased automation to achieve cost savings and efficiency. All right, so we're back. Waiting for this to reconnect. All right, yeah, it's freezing up. I'm running off my phone because the Wi-Fi here in the Airbnb is slow. So I'm running off my phone. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this article from blackenterprise.com. So automation. So Jason Wright, who was the co-author of this report that was put out by McKinsey and Company. He told Business Insider. Business Insider is a business news website, businessinsider.com. He said, quote, there is an elevated risk to the African American workforce to modernization, automation, and the global shift that exists in this modern economy. Now, automation consists of artificial intelligence, software programs, and robotics that will handle the current low wage, low skill jobs in the near future. Current low wage, low skill jobs in the near future. We've seen reports about McDonald's starting to use more automation at McDonald's restaurants. Okay, and I actually saw a prototype of a McDonald's, and it's basically all automated. Okay, the taking the orders and all different types of things like this. This can have a huge catastrophic impact on the African American community. Now, there are approximately going back to 2000, I think 2018 press release from the Census Bureau in about June of 2018. There are about 47, 48 million African Americans. The best numbers I can find, there are about 20 million African Americans in the labor market, either working or looking for work. Okay, about 20 million African Americans in the labor market, either working or looking for work. If you eliminate jobs from 4.5 million African Americans, that is going to have a huge negative impact, okay, on our communities. That's going to have a huge negative impact on our communities. All right, so we're back. Okay, so we got John Ray, you got SB, just a few of the people watching. Dina Davis, how you doing, Dina? You all right? Did you email me, Dina? It was a Dina that emailed me. They wanted to advertise with the African History Network. I got to respond. I was getting ready to leave Detroit, head to Oakland. I'm in Oakland, California right now. That's why you don't see Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X behind me and Aaliyah, right? I'm not in the office, okay? I'm here in Oakland, California. And then let me post this information here also about the Black Agenda Tour, because that's taking place Friday, October 11th, and Saturday, October 12th, here in Oakland, California. All right, we'll post that information also here. Yeah, let me get that. So we'll be at the Joyce Gordon Galleries Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the community activist portion. And then the conference is, I think, like 2 doors away from that, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay. Okay, so I just posted the information here. Also go to the blackagendamovement.com, the blackagendamovement.com for more information. Yeah, we'll be at, let's see, Saturday, it's at Jeffrey Inner Circle, 410 14th Street, Oakland, California. Okay. All right, so let's go back to this. But when I saw the CVS kiosk, okay, yeah, I'll respond to your email, Dina. It's been hectic, and I had to get a lot of things ready so I could leave early Thursday morning to come to Oakland. But I'll respond to your email, Dina. Thanks. Um, when I saw that kiosk, and see what's really interesting is I saw the kiosk from the CVS pharmacy, and that was on. I think after I saw that kiosk, then I saw the article from BlackEnterprise.com. It happened all on the same day. Okay, so if you look at hospitals, if you've been to a hospital lately, you see automation in the hospitals. They have these different carts that are robotic that take charts and things like this from one side of the hospital to another side of the hospital. In 2013, there was a article from Huffington Post, and there was a segment on on 60 Minutes on CBS, and they on 60 Minutes, it was about a 12 to 15 minute segment that they did, and it dealt with how automation has been eliminating jobs. And they showed a factory, and in this factory they had robots that would take parts from one side of the factory to the other side of the factory. Now these were jobs that humans used to have, okay, but now robots are doing this. All right, so let's continue here. And I'll try to find that segment from CBS, from 60 Minutes, and we'll try to post that also. All right, so they've come up with some recommendations on what African Americans can do to try to avoid being caught up in this. Okay, especially African American men, because African American men are the ones who are going to be hurt the most uh, by this elimination of jobs. Now, McDonald's recently acquired a print. It's either a print or a printy. APPRENTE. APPRENTE. McDonald's recently acquired a print, which is an artificial intelligence company that focuses on speech to help automate the drive-through experience. Okay, McDonald's has already implemented self-serve kiosks in many of their restaurants, which require fewer workers at the point of sale. Okay, so McDonald's is already doing this. I've seen articles talking about these automated McDonald's restaurants where they have these kiosks in them. McDonald's has already implemented self-serve kiosks in many of their restaurants, which require fewer workers at the point of sale. Now, the McKinsey and Company report found that African American males will be most affected by automation. African American men are overrepresented in high displacement job categories, and are also underrepresented in low displacement job categories. Okay, African American men are overrepresented in high displacement job categories and are also underrepresented in low displacement job categories, which means categories that require a higher degree of education, a higher degree of skills, things like this. African American males are underrepresented in those professions, and those are the ones that are more protected from this coming onslaught of automation. Now, high displacement jobs have an increased likelihood of being lost due to automation. These types of jobs include food services, retail workers, office support, and factory jobs. These are high displacement jobs. High displacement jobs have an increased likelihood of being lost due to automation. Jobs like food services, retail workers, office support, and factory workers. The McKinsey and Company report also found that African American males are less concentrated in parts of the country where economic growth is expected to be experienced over the next decade. So we also have to look at the trends that are coming also. One thing that I tell parents to do when they have children who want to go to college and they're looking at what they want to major in, go to bls.gov. bls.gov is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, go to bls.gov and look at the occupational handbook, the occupational handbook at bls.gov. Because what this does is this tells you by profession what the employment outlook and what the demand for that particular profession will be in the next 10, 15 years. It tells you the type of skills, the type of education, the type of certifications, what have you, that you need for that profession. Then it also tells you what the earning potential is in that profession. Also, that's at BLS.gov, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Because I used to do consulting for a local community college, and we were we were involved in getting people enrolled in the community college. And this is one of the tools that I learned to use, the occupational handbook at BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it's also the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or what we call the Labor Department. That's the department that also tracks and calculates the unemployment rate as well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So when you want to read the unemployment report that comes out each month, the first Friday of each month is when it comes out. You can go to bls.gov and read that there also. Okay. All right. So we have Saraya. Okay, stop buying expensive cars, clothes, and change. Yeah, that's good. That's good advice, but that's good advice for everybody. That's good advice for everybody because white people buy expensive cars and clothes and chains also. That's expensive. That's good advice for everybody. But we're dealing specifically with the onslaught of automation eliminating African American jobs. It doesn't have anything to do with buying cars and clothes and expensive chains. All right. So the report found that these effects of automation can be mitigated by African American males obtaining higher education. Obtaining higher education. The public and private sectors should pursue, quote, large scale economic development strategies. Large scale economic development strategies to increase jobs and opportunities. African American males are significantly underrepresented in the population that has a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree. Okay, so looking at trend, let me see. And then the McKinsey report also found that African American males are less concentrated in parts of the country where economic growth is expected to be experienced over the next decade. Quote, African Americans are underrepresented in 5 out of the 6 projected fastest growing geographical archetypes and are overrepresented in 2 of the 6 slower growing archetypes in the report. Okay, so let's look at this here. Let's look at this deeper. And they recommend higher education attainment for African American males because the report said African American males are significantly underrepresented in the population that has a bachelor's or graduate degree. If we look at so fastcompany.com had an article that was a deeper dive into this. Okay, and I'm pulling up the article from businessinsider.com as well as Fast Company because Fast Company was also there was an article from fastcompany.com that was also referenced in this article as well. If we look at the article from fastcompany.com, African American men will suffer the most as automation destroys jobs once held by humans. This is from October 7th, 2019. Okay. And in this article, they gave 3 recommendations. They said there are 3 main reasons the McKinsey and Company report found that Black male Americans will be worst affected by automation. One, African American males are overrepresented in high displacement job categories. Quote, high displacement jobs are the jobs most likely to be lost due to automation. Jobs in this category include office support, like secretaries and data entry personnel, food services, including fast food workers, production workers, which include machinists and other factory workers and retail workers. 2, Black African American males are also underrepresented in low displacement job categories. That is, jobs which are expected to feel the impact, FEEL, feel the impact of automation the least. So African American males are least represented in these professions that are protected. These jobs include creative jobs like health professionals, teachers, business and legal jobs, and property and agriculture jobs. Okay. 3, African American males are less concentrated in the areas of the country that are expected to experience the most economic growth over the next decade. They're less concentrated in the areas of the country that are expected to experience the most economic growth over the next decade. In contrast, they are more concentrated in areas of the country that can expect the least amount of economic growth over the next 10 years, which is why we have to look at trends, which is why we have to look at relocation also. As the report states, quote, African Americans are underrepresented in 5 out of the 6 projected fastest growing geographical archetypes and are overrepresented in 2 of the 6. Okay. Now, African American females are expected to better weather the automation storm, however. That's mainly thanks to the fact that many of the careers that are well represented by African American women include home health aides, nursing assistants, and personal care aides, and they are expected to see more demand over the next decade. So once again, we have to look at the trends. We have to look at Bureau of Labor Statistics, the occupational handbook. We have to look at what is the future outlook for these different areas that we're going into. And then what are the geographical areas that are projected to have economic booms? Because we need to look at relocating there as opposed to staying in areas that are not expected to have an economic boom. Now, as for how automation affects Black men, as for how automation's effect on Black men can be mitigated, The McKinsey and Company report says public and private sector institutions should pursue, quote, large scale economic development strategies, end quote. Large scale economic development strategies, end quote, to increase jobs and opportunities supporting attainment of higher education for African Americans. Um, and the report says and the report says, quote, are significantly underrepresented in the population that has a bachelor's or graduate degree, end quote, and enabling occupation switching and reskilling, gaining new skills, going back to school to get new skills, as many of the men most likely to be affected already have the skills to work in other fields that are less likely to be impacted. So we're looking at increases in the education of bachelor's degrees and graduate degrees, but at the same time, not incurring a whole lot of debt. So there's strategies that can be implemented to reduce the amount of debt that you incur when you go to college. But also, I would add to that, we also have to look at the skilled trades, because a lot of the skilled trades pay more than what you'll earn your first, second, third year in your profession coming out of college. A lot of the skilled trades. So there's now we're seeing more articles, and we're seeing more of an emphasis on looking at the skilled trades in addition to looking at college also. So we have to look at both of those. So this is the article from fastcompany.com. Okay. And in a lot of the debates dealing with the presidential candidates and a lot of the town hall meetings, issues like this I haven't heard discussed. But when we talk about putting together an African American agenda, this has to be on it. These have to be issues that we push to the prospective candidates, not just president, U.S. Senate, House of Representatives, mayor, city council, all of this. Okay. So we have to understand that politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Entrepreneurship plays a part in this, absolutely, of course, but everybody's not gonna be an entrepreneur where that is their main source of income. That just ain't gonna happen. Everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur where that's their main source of income. And a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, they have a 9 to 5 job because that's where they get the money from to help start their business and sustain their business. Okay, so we have to understand this. Now, the article from BusinessInsider.com that was cited in the Black Enterprise article is called Artificial Intelligence is Slated to Disrupt 4.5 million jobs for African Americans who have a 10% greater likelihood of automation based job loss than other workers. Okay, they have a long title. Black Enterprise kept it short. Okay, Black Enterprise title was 4.5 million African Americans could lose their jobs to automation. Business Insider has a long title, but they have some good information also. All right. And this article from Business Insider came out October 7th. And let me see here. They gave some recommendations also, so we'll let it load up. So the African American workers are at greater risk for job loss due to being overrepresented in the jobs that face the most cuts after artificial intelligence made over. Um, about 34% to 36% of jobs in those three sectors will get disrupted. Okay, about 34% to 36% of jobs in those three sectors. The three sectors are office support secretaries, fast food and service workers. Fast food and service workers and mechanics and other practitioners of production work. Now, the disproportionate impact of automation could exacerbate the already widening racial wealth gap. So on top of this, so we have to look at this. The elimination of 4.5 million jobs held by African Americans over the next 10 years. That is on top of the racial wealth gap, but it's on top of the racial income gap as well. So African American women make 61 cents for every dollar that the average white male makes. Black Women's Equal Pay Day just happened in August of 2019. It was around August 22nd, I think it was. It came like 2 weeks later than the previous year. It takes the average African American woman 20 months to make the same amount of money that it takes the average white male to make in 12 months. We see for African American men make about 79 cents for every dollar that the average white male makes. So on top of the racial wealth gap, where the median household net worth of a white family is $171,000 based upon 2016 numbers compared to 17,000 median household net worth for a African American family. On top of that, we're dealing with our jobs being at risk of being eliminated due to automation. So the disproportionate impact of automation could exacerbate the already widening racial wealth gap. The wealth gap between, and I got to grab the uh, report that just came out because at the same time I'm looking at the new census report that came out in September, and I'm looking at articles dealing with this, the new census report. So everybody knows the census is taken every 10 years, and there's a census report that's generated every 10 years. So the census is going to be in 2020, but there's an annual census report that comes out in September of each year. So the annual census report came out in September 2019, and I'm looking at articles that are being generated based upon what's being found in that annual census report. That annual census report shows you the impact that public policies have, especially federal policies. So if we look at the Washington Post has an article dealing with income inequality in America is the highest it's been since Census Bureau started tracking its data. Income inequality in the United States has hit its highest level since the Census Bureau started tracking it more than 5 decades ago. Okay, now the first, more than 5 decades ago, according to data released Thursday, even as the nation's poverty and unemployment rates are at historic lows. The Gulf the Gulf is starkest in wealthy regions along both coasts, such as New York, Connecticut, California, and Washington, D.C., as well as in areas with widespread poverty, such as Puerto Rico and Louisiana. We know there's a whole lot of black people down in Louisiana. And we also know in Louisiana, you have a prison in Louisiana called Angola Prison. And we know there's a lot of African Americans in Angola prison, and many of them come from impoverished backgrounds there in Louisiana. Okay. Now, equality was highest in Utah, Alaska, and Iowa. And while the nation is in the midst of its longest economic expansion, 9 states saw spikes in inequality from 2017 to 2018. Alabama, we know Alabama has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. Alabama, Arkansas, California, Kansas, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Texas, and Virginia. Okay, so check this out also, and this ties into things like the federal minimum wage. This ties into things like the fight for 15. And you notice how Donald Trump is very silent on raising the minimum wage to a livable wage, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, the Democrats in the House of Representatives early this year passed the bill to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, but it's stuck in the U.S. Senate. It's not going anywhere in the U.S. Senate. So this is why Moscow Mitch McConnell, okay, Moscow Mitch McConnell, Senator of Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate Majority Leader, this is why he has to be voted out of office. Moscow Mitch McConnell. All right. Okay, let's continue here. Then also be sure to register for the online course I teach on Thursdays, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. That's a 14. It's a 9 week, 16-hour online course that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history. So we do that on Thursdays, and as soon as you register, you can. There's bonus content that you can watch also. Okay, African American business owners, post the name of your business here in the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Email us at customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. Customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay, we'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Our current promotion is get 3 months for the price of one. Customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. We'll post that information here also. Um, let's see. As we pay attention to the complaint against Amazon and their contractors delivering packages, there's a safety complaint about drivers. Yeah, and when you study Amazon, I saw a report talking about how a lot of people talking about like the percentage of people who work for Amazon, they're also on welfare, things like this, right? And Amazon is like Amazon is like the wealthiest company, or one of the wealthiest companies in this country. Okay, let's go back to this article from Business Insider. Um, okay, so the disproportionate impact of automation could exacerbate the already widening racial wealth gap. The wealth gap between the median black and white families in the U.S. jumped $54,000 since 1992. Now, median is a statistical measure. It's the point where 50% of the population is above that point and 50% of the population is below that point. Now, white Americans own disproportionately more homes and hold less student loan debt than African Americans, okay, in comparison. Factors that can be traced to historic redlining and discrimination in job training. We also know that African American women carry more student loan debt than their white counterparts. So African American women carry on average $30,400 in student loan debt when they graduate from a four-year institution, compared to their white counterparts who graduate with on average $22,000 in student loan debt. Okay. Now, this is not saying that the majority of the $1.5 trillion in student loan debt is carried by African American women. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is that uh, on average, when African American women graduate from college, they're going to carry more student loan debt than their white counterparts. But that has an impact not just on that one African American female, but also on her family that sent her to college. Okay, that's going to have an impact on that. That's going to have an impact. That's going to take away money that she can use to start a business, invest in stocks. That's and the other thing is that when we see a delay in African Americans getting married, we see a delay in African Americans getting married and getting married later in life. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not where they want to be economically. Okay, they're not where they want to be economically in life, and a lot of that has to do with student loan debt, has to do with a lack of accumulated wealth, etc., like coming from their families, a lack of wealth being able to be handed down from generation to generation. All this is historical. You understand? All this is historical. I was looking for this article here because I've talked about this report before. Homes owned by Black Americans are undervalued by billions of dollars. Homes owned by Black Americans are undervalued by billions of dollars. This was a report from the Brookings Institute. This came out in November 2018, and on MSNBC, Velshi and Rule on MSNBC, they did a segment dealing with this. A sobering new report from the Brookings Institute shows homes owned by African Americans are undervalued by billions of dollars, and it is having a domino effect on American families when it comes to paying for education and retiring. Ali Velshi is joined by one of the report's authors, Andre Perry, to discuss the quote unquote segregation tax, the segregation tax that is limiting opportunities for African Americans. And the report found that uh, in African American neighborhoods are undervalued on average by $48,000. The value of the homes are undervalued on average by $48,000, and that is a loss cumulatively of $156 billion in home value for African Americans. That ties to net worth. Okay, so so African American homes are valued at $156 billion less than white homes in general. Most African Americans would also most African Americans would also most African Americans who live in most African Americans who live in mostly African Americans, with also white Americans who live in majority black neighborhoods at 113 different metropolitan areas. They had a misspell. They missed a word here. That had at least one majority black neighborhood, um, in compared home values, in that majority black neighborhood. That had at least one majority black neighborhood and compared home values in that majority black neighborhood to other home values outside of the majority black neighborhood. All of the okay, so they were showing a chart. Check this out. This goes deep into that, and then you can also look at the article from the Brookings Institute. This is from News Daily dot today, Newsdaily dot today. But you can go to MSNBC and just look for homes owned by Black Americans are undervalued by billions of dollars, and that segment from Velshi Rule will come up as well. Okay. All right. Let's continue here. How's everybody doing? So they're tying. So the article from BusinessInsider.com talked about how white Americans own disproportionately more homes and hold less student loan debt than African Americans. Factors that can be traced to historic redlining and discrimination in job hiring. And we know that redlining was created by the federal government. Redlining was created by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which was founded in 1933 by the federal government as part of the New Deal, President Roosevelt and the New Deal. And the redlining system was instituted in 1934. And redlining deals with how you label, how you classify different communities in different parts of the city as being either green, which means they're good to make loans to, and it's a good risk, or red, which means that it's a bad risk when it comes to making loans. And this is largely done based upon racial lines. So when when you had in 1949 when you had the Federal Housing Act, which allowed white people to put 3% down on low interest loans to get houses built out in the suburbs that were being formed. Because this is after World War II. World War II ends in 1945. You have the GI Bill in 1944. You have the baby boom boomer generation starting in 45, 46. You have these men coming back home from the war and they're starting families. So they need to buy homes. They need more space. So you have the suburbs that are being built, and you also have the deindustrialization of the inner city that's happening at the same time that the suburbs are being built. Okay. So all of this is taking place at the same time. Now, college education and gender will all impact how severely African Americans will face job loss. Okay, the McKinsey report found college education and gender will all impact how severely African Americans will face job loss. While the general population is 10% more at risk, while the general African American population is 10% more at risk for job disruption, the number jumps to 30% for African American men without a college degree. So the general African American population is 10% more at risk for job disruption than the overall U.S. population. But African American men are 30% more. African American men without a college degree are 30% more at risk. In fact, the researchers estimate that 28% of jobs held by black men without a college degree will get disrupted by automation and artificial intelligence by 2030. Okay, so we're talking about 2030 is 11 years away. Okay, researchers estimate that 28% of jobs held by African American men without a college degree will get disrupted by automation and artificial intelligence by the year 2030. So while African American men face greater risk of job disruption from artificial intelligence, African American women will see a relatively fewer job losses. African American women might lose jobs at a lower rate, not only compared to black men, but also when compared to white and Asian Americans of all genders. African American women are currently overrepresented in jobs that will see growth in the next decade, like nursing assistants and home health aid. So African American women are overrepresented in these jobs that are more insulated from automation displacement, artificial intelligence displacement. Okay. Now, understanding unique ways automation will impact different racial gender groups will allow for a better understanding of which policies to advocate for. So, how do you know? How do you understand which policies to push? How do you understand which policies to advocate for? When you don't understand the trends that are coming, you haven't studied these trends that are coming and how these trends would impact the African American community, how they would impact African American men. Okay, understanding the unique ways automation will impact different racial gender groups will allow for better understanding of which policies to advocate for. African American men might need more job reskilling training to prepare for disruption, while African American women might need better access to education to attain higher paying work. Okay? African American men might need more job reskilling training to prepare for job disruption, while African American women might need better access to education to attain higher paying work. Uh, so the article from BusinessInsider.com goes on to say, let's see who's this person. Wright was quoted. I think there was McKinsey and Company. But they go on to say, hold on. They go on to say, quote, there's a real benefit to the evolution the economy is going through. Being smart, especially as a person of color, on the unique risk to you is helpful. Being smart, especially as a person of color, on the unique risk to you is helpful. Okay. So check out this article also from businessinsider.com. Um, Artificial intelligence is slated to disrupt 4.5 million jobs for African Americans who have a 10% greater likelihood of automation based job loss than other workers. Okay, so it's a long title, and I don't know why the title's that long, but still it's a good article. All right. Okay, but see, all this deals with politics. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Understanding job retraining for jobs that have that pay more, have a greater economic outlook, and will be greater in demand. That deals with Department of Education. A president nominates a secretary of education. The secretary of education sets the tone also for the policies coming from the Department of Education. Donald Trump nominated Betsy DeVos, and if you know anything about Betsy DeVos, you know that she knows nothing about, she has no background in education. She was never a teacher. She wasn't even president of the PTA. It's not even clear she's actually graduated from college. Okay, she has no business being in charge of the Department of Education. And one of the things that she's done is loosen the restrictions on for-profit colleges. And we know that it was for-profit colleges that helped to get a lot of African Americans into student loan debt in the first place. All right, so let's see here. Homes by, okay, Patricia posted a link here, I guess, to MSNBC. Um, our home built late 2014, undervalued within months of moving in. Since mid 2015, even though it's on a golf course. You got Andre Forbes, yeah. And then also we also have to look at the skilled trades, okay? But these are all issues dealing with policies. This all deals with politics. So a lot of times these are issues that people miss, okay? So people may talk about criminal justice, reform, things like this, which is important to talk about. But we can draw a link between lack of education, lack of skills to market, low wages, poverty, and crime. Okay, we can tie a link between all of that. I guarantee you, if you increase the skill level in the African American community, increase the education level, and these people are employed in jobs where they're making more money and being lifted out of poverty, I guarantee you the crime rate will go down. Okay, so we have to understand how all of this is interrelated. We have a new DVD bundle pack also at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's my Black Migration 1619 to 2019 DVD bundle pack. Includes 6 of my latest presentations, including 6 principles of political self-defense, but also my presentation Black Migrations 1619 to 2019, from the birth of the nation to the Red Summer of 1919 to the Detroit race riot of 1943. Okay, so that's on sale right now, $50. It's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, the Black Migrations. And we know this is the year of return. And Black Migrations was this year's annual theme for African American History Month, coming from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. So every year there's an annual theme for African American History Month. A lot of people don't know this. Okay, Black History Month. The annual theme comes from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Okay, ASALH, which was co-founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, um, September 9th, 1915. Okay, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who created Negro History Week in 1926, and then it became Black History Month in 1976. Now it's African American History Month. That is the organization that he co-founded September 9th, 1915. The Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which is now the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And they are the governing body of African American History Month. So each year there is a annual theme for African American History Month, okay, to give it purpose, to give it direction. And this is a theme not just to be celebrated during the month of February, but also to be celebrated all year round. Okay, but a lot of our people don't know there's an annual theme. This is why I tell people when I do my African American History Month presentations, I tell people we don't have to just keep recycling the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year. Because unfortunately, a lot of these African American History Month celebrations that are put together, people mean well, but a lot of them don't have a very poor understanding of our history and don't understand why that monthly cultural celebration was created in the first place. So, I've looked at the annual themes going back to 1928. All right, but unfortunately, many of our people don't even know there's an annual theme. All right, so um, everybody check that out. You can order that bundle pack from my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my other DVD lectures are there as well. And I'm here in Oakland for the um, Black Agenda Tour with Michi X, and I'm speaking as well, and I'm on the panel discussion. So it's taking place Friday and Saturday, October 11th, October 12th. We posted the information here on the thread. We have it on our Facebook fan page as well. We'll post it again. Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the community training for like community activists, community organizations. That's taking place at that's free. Friday. That's taking place at Joyce Gordon Galleries. Joyce Gordon Galleries. Visit the Black Agenda Movement.com, the Black Agenda Movement.com for more information, because I'm not sure if you have to register for that. I don't think you have to register for that portion. But then Saturday, I think there's just a few tickets left, because I was talking to Michi earlier today. I think there's a few tickets left for that. That is going to be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's the actual conference. She's speaking, I'm speaking. We're both on the panel discussion. There'll be some other people there also. That's taking place at Jeffrey's Inner Circle, 410 14th Street, Oakland, California. There'll be vendors there also. I'll have my DVD table with my lectures. We have Hidden Colors 5 also there. And tickets for youth tickets for ages 25 or under are $25. Ages 12 and under are free. So check that out. Now we'll be in Washington D.C. the weekend of October 26th, and we'll be in Houston, Texas, the weekend of November 9th also. Okay. All right, let's see. Tommy, yes, sir. Crime is directly related. That crime is directly related to poverty. Poverty is usually related. Poverty is related to usually income. Wealth is part of it, but especially income. Okay, so this is why the fight for 15 is so important, but also supporting African American owned businesses is important as well. So when we look at right now, so Roland Martin Unfiltered last week, he just did a segment dealing with the Michigan Minority Business Development Council, okay? Michigan Minority Business Development Council, and how Donald Trump is trying to shut down the Michigan Minority Business Development Council. And that was a council created by Richard Nixon, and there was a sister who's with the council, and she talked about how the council helps African American owned businesses. Okay, and yes, it's other ethnic groups that it helped also, but it definitely helps African American owned business. So when Donald Trump talked about in 2016, he asked African Americans, "What the hell do you have to lose?" And he talks about the economy. He talks about how many jobs. The unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been in history for African Americans. Why, at the same time, would his policies attack something like the MMBDC? Okay, why would it do that? So when you listen to his rhetoric, his policies oftentimes are not following that nice those nice flowery speeches he likes to give. Kyle said, "No disrespect intended. We are black people. We will survive. That's what makes up people. That's what makes our people great." Yeah, African Americans will survive, but what will be your quality of life while you're surviving? Yes, African Americans will survive. What would be your quality of life while you're surviving? And the other question we should ask is, why should we be focused on surviving as opposed to thriving? Too many of us are in survival mode from day to day. We weren't put on this earth to be in survival mode from day to day. We weren't put on this earth to be in poverty. We weren't put on this earth to live from the first of the month to the end of the month, first of the month to the end of the month. No. So you said we as black people will survive. That's part of the problem. The focus shouldn't be on surviving. This focus should be on thriving. The focus should be on controlling the economics in our own community. We are in survival mode because of public policies, bad public policies, because of external conditions that are put on us. We were not here to be in that position. That's part of the problem. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you've been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Okay, so this is why African history and culture is our foundation. It gives us our values, our interests, and our principles. Our values, our interests, and our principles. It gives you your purpose. It gives you your self-esteem, self-development, self-worth. If you don't think you are worth anything more than just being in survival mode, just surviving day to day, you won't fight for anything else because you don't think you deserve anything else. The reason why so many of our people don't fight back is because so many of our people don't think they're worth fighting for. They don't think they deserve anything better. Okay? This is part of the problem. Your history and culture influences your economic empowerment and your political empowerment. It influences your economics, the type of businesses you create, what you do with your money, but also your politics, what type of position, what type of policies you push for, who you vote for, etc., etc. All this deals with politics, but the foundation is our history and culture. All right. So look, those in Oakland will see you this weekend at the Black Agenda Tour. Also, if you like this type of information, visit our website. You can donate to the African History Network. PayPal.me/the AHN show. PayPal.me /the AHN show. Also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button and you can donate there. You can also set up for a recurring donation if you like. If you want to donate 10, 15, 25, 50, $100 because it helps us to pay the bills, helps us keep doing the research, um, uh, finance our Sunday night show, the African History Network show. It helps pay when I have to travel out of state, helps cover expenses also, okay? PayPal.me /the AHN show. All right. So how you doing, Vicky? Who else we have here? Patricia. So all this is interconnected, interrelated. Then also read this book. I was talking to Brother Hashim, who's here as well. He's part of the Black Agenda Tour. Read this book here, How White Folks Got So Rich, The Untold Story of American White Supremacy. Okay? Because this book, now it's like Black Labor White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. Everybody knows Dr. Claude Anderson is one of my teachers. He's a friend of mine. I've read his books. I've been studying Dr. Claude Anderson since 1994. I've interviewed him a number of times, so you can see the interviews here. But this book here is like Black Labor White Wealth on steroids because it's very, very concentrated. Okay? And this is the third edition. I have all three editions. This edition came out in 2013. And what it does is it talks about all the laws and policies that were put into place in this country to maldistribute wealth pond resources into the hands of Europeans. It talks about how all of this happened, how we got into this predicament. Okay, so in a lot of times we don't understand the policies, the laws put in place. It's not just 246 years of slavery. That was part of it. That was public policy. Okay, 246 years of slavery, decades of Jim Crow segregation, etc. But things like the Homestead Act of 1862, which gave away 160 acres of land to the male head of household, usually male head of household. From 1862 to 1988, they gave away about 250 million acres of land, almost exclusively went to white people. Okay, then you had the Southern Homestead Act of 1866. The Southern Homestead Act gave away about 45 million acres of land. So when you look at, and then you look at going back to the 1600s and the 1700s, and you look at the head rights that were given, and they would give 50 acres of land to a white male coming to this, coming from England, a white male coming here. He would get 50 acres of land, and for each slave or white indentured servant that he owned, each African slave or white indentured servant that he owned, or black indentured servant, because there were Africans or black people who entered into indentured servitude as well. He would get an additional 50 acres of land. Okay, so in 1619, because this is the year of return, 400 years, and a lot of you have seen the presentations and the videos I've been doing surrounding that in the 1619 project, etc. In 1619, in Jamestown and in the other colonies, the British colonies here in this land, slave laws didn't exist. Codified slave laws did not come into existence in the British colonies until it was 1641. The first colony to have codified slave laws was Massachusetts in 1641. They come to Virginia in 1661. So they're hitting the colonies at different times. It wasn't that when these 28 odd Africans come into wasn't Jamestown, Virginia. It was really Hampton, Virginia. Is Point Comfort right there at Hampton, Virginia. When they come in on the White Line slave ship, August 20, 1619, they come from Angola, the Kimbundu speaking people from present day Angola. All right. Indentured servitude exists. Codified slave laws don't exist. They're put into a form of indentured servitude. After about 3 to 5 years, they're released. So the whole way this thing evolves, we don't even understand the history of that. And African Americans don't understand our history. White people don't understand the history of this country. Okay? So one of the good things about the 1619 project, even though they haven't talked a lot about 1526, because the Spanish, who were here in this land before the English come, the Spanish were taking Africans into the Spanish territories like Florida and South Carolina, but they were taking Africans and enslaving them in South Carolina in the 1520s, especially 1526. This is 93 years before Jamestown, Virginia. Okay, I did a presentation about that. Before 1619, it was 1526. A lot of people don't know this. All right, so we have to understand this chronology of this history, how all this happened, and how laws and policies were tied into this as well. Okay, so look, guys. Hey, I got to get out of here. I have to get out of here. We'll see you all in Oakland and some of the other cities I'm in. Also, if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. We'll make that happen. We have the Hidden Colors 5 available at our website, africanhistorynetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there also. And then be sure to register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. You've never seen anything like it before. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We deal with thousands of years of history. We have book references, articles. Usually I have like a stack of four stacks of books, I should say, not a stack of 4 books, 4 stacks of books next to me and when I'm in the office teaching the class also. All right. Okay, so look, hey, I got to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Now, hopefully, as many people will watch this video as the people watching the videos that I did talking about Joshua Brown, because we had tens of thousands of people watching those videos. Okay, this right here will impact 4.5 million African Americans. So it's all right it's good to watch the videos, especially the ones I did on Joshua Brown, because I wasn't dealing with all that conspiracy theory nonsense people putting out there, confusing our people. But something like this is extremely important as well, because this ties into our economic condition, this ties into policies, this impacts our communities, our families, this impacts African American owned businesses. Because if you have less money and you don't have a job, you got less money to spend with black owned businesses. So this will have a huge impact all throughout our communities. So hopefully, as many people that watch the videos I did dealing with Joshua Brown will watch this as well. Okay, remember, right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.